Yo, what's the deal? Waiting for Miss Anjani, and you know the deal. It's the E, the poetry, giving you some scorpionic astrology. Yes, polarities. Don't you understand? I will carry thee into the age of Aquarius. Don't you understand? Lyrically vicarious. You can live through all my words. Don't you understand? I'm giving you some verbs for your corny herbs. You can't understand. A Scorpio rising is a different type of man. Sun versus moon, AC versus DC. What you get tonight is some real astrology. Scorpio season is so pleasing. Don't you know? Yes, I rhyme for a reason. This is my cry for help, and I hope you hear it. This is my cry for help, and I hope you hear it. What's the deal, good people? Good people. Oh man, I'm waiting for Miss Anjani. I hope everything's okay. Maybe she's lost track of time, but either way, I am here to talk about. Get a chair and sit down until she comes. Talk about wrapping up Scorpio season, how you guys are doing, and talking about Scorpio polarities, right? The sun versus the moon and the ascendant versus the descendant. Tonight on episode 172, Knowledge is Love. How you guys doing? All right. Got my little sidekick helping me until Miss Anjani comes. Say what's up.
Hi. I got a new haircut.
Yeah, you see the tag, got a new haircut. Missed the 5th grade. Today was awesome day with the socks.
Day of awesomeness.
Day of awesomeness.
We got to do the bouncy houses, and we were jumping around. I made this one-hand catch when we were doing the football thing.
Oh yeah, he's a football star.
Yards you can throw, and like they threw it back, and I caught it one hand. And then there was also this like human soccer, human foosball. It's like foosball is a soccer game where you twist the handlebars.
Yeah, I think they know.
Oh yeah, and so I scored 5 goals, and
I love it.
We played wrecking ball.
See, this is my Scorpio moon, so there are no accidents.
You have to balance on a thing, and then you push it at different people, and you try and knock them over. But yeah, it was really fun.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you, Evelyn Torres.
Yeah, Evelyn's awesome. All right, who else is in the comments? We're trying to see where Miss Anjani is.
We have a lot of comments already.
Okay, well, go ahead, read them.
We have Awaken the Dreams.
Log in. No, that's...
Oh, that's the song.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's the first one. That's Anjani.
Kimberly Busler.
Yeah.
Said hello. Evelyn Torres said, hey, Eric. Kimberly Boosler said, I made it, yay.
Yay.
Kimberly
well, I'm glad you guys both made it. Evelyn and Kimberly, 2 of my favorite people on the planet. All right. Then, some of that Libra energy.
Evelyn Torres said, good.
Well, let's say some prayers. I have not heard from Miss Anjani. I hope she's okay. And, hopefully she'll log in soon. But let's get started, okay?
Okay.
Here, close the door and get a tissue.
I will.
Play your nose, go ahead.
And I just want to finish this. Kimberly Bustler said, love the haircut. Thank you. Evelyn Torres said, he's getting so good. Thank you.
Yeah, you see? I mean, listen, the 5th grader, man.
Kimberly Bustler said, SAGs. I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
Sagittarius?
Yes, well, that's the thing. You guys both have, yes, that's for short for Sagittarius. Evelyn and Kimberly are both Sages, but you both have some of that Libra energy with the moon and the ascendant. So it's very fitting for tonight. And you guys, there are no accidents, right? Venus and Libra, Mercury Sag today, the sextile. So right now, as we are live, the ascendant is in Gemini. The moon is in Sag, finishing up tonight. And right about now, the moon in Sag is squaring Neptune and Pisces. So that can create some that can create some challenging energies. And, we don't need to get into it, but hopefully Kimberly and Evelyn and anyone else that jumps on, let me know how you guys did with the Scorpio new moon, because what it is ending one chapter and beginning a new one, new beginnings, right? We have to integrate the energy from that Taurus lunar eclipse on October 28th and the whole nodal experience that we've dealt with for the past 2 years before we went to the Aries and Libra, Aries North Node, Libra South Node, of the Taurus North Node and Scorpio South Node. So all this purging, detoxing, releasing, and then now, right, we integrated with the Scorpio new moon. And there's just so much going on in the world, just praying for peace and spreading love over fear, peace over war. But, Scorpio season, and let me just say, for you Scorpio Sun, Moon risings, the Scorpio birth chart sale does end November 22nd. And you Sages, you amazing Sag ladies, the Sagittarius birth chart sale begins November 22nd. A little duality on that day, okay? But Scorpio Sun versus Scorpio Moon will kind of start there. And I'm hoping, I'm sending healing and telepathy to Miss Anjani to, for her to sign up. I don't know where she's at. I sent her a text.
No.
And all that good
it
stuff.
It says up here on your live is at November 15th at 7 p.m. and it's only 6:10.
That's Cali time.
Oh.
Yeah, on the computer. And so I already sent her, it's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Mountain. Okay. But I, reached out to her today and sent her the email, and I just sent her a text and called her. But anywho, so what's going on is Scorpio season has really been intense. And today we have the Sun conjunct Mars in Scorpio. That's a powerful energy. Okay. And so you have to understand that when you are, feeling this, Mars is at home in Scorpio, but it can be extremely emotionally intense. Okay. And at the same time, Mars takes the orders from the Sun and then fulfills its wishes. So the Scorpio Sun, it can be, still in this energy opposing Uranus, although Uranus moved to 20 degrees today. So the opposition 3-degree orb, you still feel it. It's just not exact. And we've seen it, right? The earthquakes in Iceland, obviously all the energy, with the wars. But even I think in California, fires on the 110 the other night, and Citizens Bank collapsing, and other banks of America and other banks having issues. Remember, I told you that this is no accidente. There are no accidents. Things are very intentional. So be wise, be smart, be careful. I'm not a financial advisor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night. Gold, silver, crypto, community banks, mattress, your pillow. Like I said, the astro weather today. What are you doing?
I'm just checking.
Okay. So you just have to be wise, check in with your intuition, and, just see. Wait, we're going to.
I'm just looking at if she texted you.
No, she didn't text. But I was going to say, sign in, we're live. Okay. So hopefully she gets the message. I don't know if she got caught up on the time. The time difference is throwing people off. But I do have an announcement. I'm trying to delay to see if she can come in. But I am going to be on the Jeff Mara podcast, I believe tomorrow, and I will put it here in my interviews and media playlists, and on a couple of my playlists. And for my playlist for my near death experience, I am going to be sharing my story of my near death experience. Jeff Mara invited me on his podcast and interviewed me, and it went great. I hope you guys, enjoy it. Obviously, I give a little bit more detail than I have here on my own show in this interview. So make sure you check it out. And I think it was time, 2 years since I awakened, for me to share my story and speak my truth. And it felt good, and it felt like it was time. It was definitely not easy. I'm not going to say it was easy. And I'm used to interviewing people. So to be interviewed, a little while. So let's get to the Scorpio sun and the moon. So we know Scorpio sun, the sun is, ruler of the day, and it's on the same team with Mars and Jupiter. So the sun, obviously at home in Leo and exalted in Aries, does very well in Aries, obviously exalted, but also Scorpio, and does well in Sag. No. Sag and Pisces. Okay, because they're ruled by Jupiter. So the Scorpio sun is definitely about soul merging. It's a fixed water sign, right? Power, control, obsession, manipulation, truth, investigation. It's raw, it's passionate, it's emotional, right? Scorpio sun signs are very private, vague, and secretive. And so when you're understanding that scorpionic energy, yes, the low vibration can be abusive and controlling and manipulative and even, vengeful, seeking revenge. Do it over there. You know what I mean? And so understand that with the water signs, there's intense emotions. Cancer is like I always joke, blackout and kill everybody in the room. Pisces, the escapism, so a lot of drugs. And in Scorpio, you have more, statistically, this is not Eric, more domestic violence, okay? So just understand that the Scorpio energy is, it's for real, okay? Now, when you juxtapose it and look at the polarity of the Scorpio sun, right, you start to look at the moon. Well, the sun is in a good place because Mars, Jupiter, and the sun, they're all friends. The moon are emotions. And also the sun is also your father, your vitality, right? Your personality, your purpose. Okay. So Scorpio suns, they're about making money. They can be very focused on health. Okay. The healing modalities. Detectives, police, private eyes, people who are in the occult knowledge, esoteric knowledge. Well, the moon is at home in Cancer and exalted in Taurus. So the opposition of Taurus is Scorpio, and the Scorpio moon is in its fall. Not a death sentence. So what does that mean when you're dealing with your intuition, your emotions, your body, your health, your mother, right? Your roots, your ancestors, your feelings, sensitivities. The moon is also milk, past life energy. The Scorpio moon, you guys, it can be really, really challenging. What needs to happen with this Scorpio moon, and you're dealing with the polarity, you have to release and purge these intense emotions and feelings. Because if not, it can make you sick. Medical astrology, some of you guys know this, especially who've been working with me and coming to Coffee Talk, the Scorpio energy rules the elimination organs. That's why it's so equated and associated with sex. Truth be told, Gemini and Leo are more sexual, but Scorpio is about soul merging. I want to see your soul. Right? So Scorpio moons, very different energy from the sun. You could even say these people, they may not even get along with one another, right? Because the Scorpio moon, the similarities are going to be the interest for soul merging, for truth investigation. But the way the Scorpio has to integrate the energy in the moon is understanding their empathic energy and how they can bend energy and move things, but not to get into the toxic emotions, right? Very raw and visceral energy. Where the sun, they're both going to be private, craving, truth and intimacy. But the moon has more challenges than the sun, right? Because of the traditional ruler of the planet Mars. Pluto being the modern ruler, when you look at both of these placements, you want to look in the natal birth chart, right? If you have a Scorpio sun or moon, where is Mars at? Where is Pluto at? Excuse me. And you always look at the traditional ruler first, because when you locate these placements, it flavors the energy, right? So let's say if you have Scorpio even in your second house and you have the moon there, where's your Mars? Is your Mars in Sag in the third? Right? Is your Mars in Libra on the ascendant? It's gonna layer and tell you the story of how that moon will play out. And then even also the energy of your mother, right? The moon will indicate that for the mother, and the sun will indicate that for the father. Does that make sense? So, it's really fascinating how that can play out in the natal chart. Don't know where my phone is at, or my son took my phone. But that's how you look at and understand that energy, And I'm sorry, I don't know, I haven't heard back from Anjani, and I just hope, everything's okay. And I don't know if she got mixed up at the time or not. But, this is what goes on with these two energies. And Scorpio moons, you guys, much more emotionally intense than a Scorpio sun. And in my experience, much more empathic, just because of the moon ruling our intuition and your physical body. Now, remember, the sun, it's the vitality, the personality, the purpose, your soul. So in some ways, they're going to be very similar. But the nuances between the sun and the moon can be very different, just in terms of the sun being a more positive energy and the sun being a more challenging, difficult energy. I'm sorry, the moon. The moon. Sorry, I'm a little off because I, was just planning to do the show with Anjani, and I don't know where she's at. But the moon definitely can be really challenging at times. But remember that key, because both energies are private. Both are secretive. They may communicate with you and reveal un poquito, just a little, and ask a ton of questions of you. And you've got to probe and investigate to dig up information for them to dispense the language and share with you. And I'll tell you two placements that are best at getting a Scorpio to divulge their secrets and their private energies that they don't want to share. Because remember, the moon is your emotional mind, and the sun is, the ego. Okay, no, it's not her. But it's Cancer and Virgo. Cancer and Virgo really make Scorpio feel safe to share and speak truth, okay? Okay, I think Anjani may be coming. You want to read this one? Babe? Okay.
I thought you said 7 my time.
No. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tell her I'm on live now waiting. I said 7 Mountain, my time. Yeah. So I think she's on her way. She got confused with the time. these things happen. And she should be joining us any second, hopefully. So understand, the moon really has, actually, you want to come and just read the chat real quick? I'm going to get to the chat. Wifey came in to replace Mateus, so we'll just read some chat real quick before Anjani gets in. Give her a minute to get ready. There was a mix-up with the time, because Arizona is usually on Pacific and now it's on Mountain. So, but these things happen.
Hello. Sorry, I was running around with the kids for soccer and cooking and all of that stuff. I was not intending to be on this live tonight. Let me see here. So Anjani has said she will be joining us soon. So we'll be excited in the meantime. Oh, whoops, no, wait.
What has happened?
Nothing. Anyway, so sorry, we have not been reading your. Was Mateus?
Yeah, he read. Yeah, just read the last couple.
So let's see. Have Evelyn? Hi. Had Evelyn been there?
Yeah.
And then Truth Life Coaching. I agree. I'm purging. Okay.
Yes.
And Scorpio Moon is deep and complex, but intriguing to me. And Knowing, how are you?
Hey, Knowing.
Yes, and she's a Scorpio Moon.
Yeah, Scorpio Moon.
And Kimberly, yes, my son is in my 3rd house, and my dad is a Gemini.
Okay, and we have a Gemini Ascendant tonight starting the show. So that's interesting, though, because then, if your son is in Sag in the 3rd, Gemini in the 9th, the father's teachings, and your father's literally a Gemini. That's, pretty fascinating. So understand, you guys. Go ahead.
Will she just pop up over there when she gets here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Knowing has said that as a Scorpio Moon, her 2 closest girlfriends have been Virgo and Cancer sons. So true.
Oh, so see, I kind of know what I'm talking about. But understand.
Hello, Evelyn.
Yeah, the Virgo, remember, they share the same glyph. And Libra came to separate Virgo and Scorpio. So there is a deep connection in that sextile. Virgos know how to speak to Scorpios to make them feel comfortable, that they can feel trusting to open up. And the Cancer, the still waters, not just saying that they can't connect with the Pisces, but Scorpio connects a little bit better with the Cancer in terms of feeling safe and secure to share their private truth. Okay.
So Evelyn said hi, thank you. Hello, Evelyn. And so did Knowing. And Knowing said she loves my products, and I want to thank you so much. I'm so happy that you like it. And guess what? I am working on putting together a level up campaign. So thank you. Knowing came to a show that I was doing, and she had all these great ideas. She is like super dynamic. It's kind of wild.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, thank you very much. And Truth Life Coaching said, I like Scorpio Moon folks. Know quite a few, and few intimately. I like their energy. They are easy for me to talk to and relate to.
Well, and that's because you're a Taurus moon, and the Taurus moon opposing the Scorpio moon, that's an opposition that can be, really.
Hey, all right. And with no further ado, let me. You got it?
I got it.
Okay.
All right. So now I shall bring in Miss Anjani Siegrist. There she is.
Oh my gosh. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
Welcome, my friend. I just started introducing the Scorpio Sun and Moon. And for those of you who don't know my amazing guest, this is Miss Anjani Siegrist, Awaken the Dream School, Miss Venus Gemstone, who is a Scorpio descendant with Uranus and Scorpio. And I'm going to let you come in and sort of chime in, because I've already started with the Sun and Moon a little bit. And I wanted to ask you, Anjani, when you think, because we know the Sun is on the same team with Mars and Jupiter, and they're friends. So the Sun for Scorpio is a little bit more of a well-integrated positive energy. They still have similarities. But when you think about the fall of the Scorpio moon opposing the exalted Taurus, what are some of the key words or some of the real deep emotions and challenges that you feel the Scorpio moon has to deal with on a daily basis and present in life?
So for me, the moon is it's going to be our deep emotional subjective reality. And so when we have Scorpio moon, that deep subjective reality is very dramatic, and the emotions, like when you think of the word emotional, you think of Scorpio moon. Because it's like all or nothing, and it's like very cutting, like has that similarity with Mars, where they say you can cut through, you could cut through, I don't know the phrase we use, but it's like that person with a Scorpio moon comes into the room, and what they are feeling, that is the loudest energy in the room, because their emotional reality is so strong.
Yeah, they're emotional powerhouses. And I know this firsthand because the Taylor twins have Scorpio moons, and they can literally hijack the entire home with their emotions. And so, one thing that I've learned as a cat moon raising Scorpio moons, I allow them the space to deal with their intense emotions, but I also let them know you need to release it, purge it, detox it, like get it out, but do it in private in your room, because it's so intense, you guys, that it's not fair, right? Because no, I know there's some school of thoughts where someone would say, don't tell them to run away with their emotions, and trust me, I'm not, but I let them know that whatever you need to release, please do it. But it's not fair for you to make everyone else feel every ounce and inch of your anguish and your emotion by screaming and yelling or whatever. So do that in private. And then when you're ready to communicate in a healthy way, come back and let's talk about it.
Well,
So
I think that we can't make, like, if I'm the Scorpio moon person and I'm coming in with this big energy, I can't make you feel a certain way. So that's the thing about Scorpio in general, is like they will bring up what is inside of you. And so a lot of time, like my daughter has a Scorpio moon. So a lot of
mm,
times it's like I felt myself going through this process so many times where I would be like trying to tell her, like just what you said, like, go do that in your room. But the thing is, what's happening is that she's bringing up my unprocessed emotions. And so
ah,
I'm having an emotional experience. Once I have processed my emotions, she can do whatever she's doing and I'm good, because it doesn't have a place to stick on me when she's doing whatever she's doing. So it's a like a give and take kind of thing, because you don't, that's what therapy's for. You don't want to have somebody who needs therapy just blowing up their house, because there's a place and a way to do that. But I like, for people with children with a Scorpio moon, do not tell them to go do that in their room, because my daughter came back, as all kids do when they become adults, and tell you all the ways you messed them up. It was one of the things that, and I was like, oh, baby, you are so right. I'm sorry that I wasn't more with you in that, because that's literally the pits of hell. When you're feeling that level of emotions, that you're like crying or, acting out, and then have the person who's responsible for caring for you tell you to go do that somewhere else.
well, let me say, and I totally agree with you, right? And so as a cat moon, my emotion, so it's, as you get older, it gets better. But one, they don't really bring up anything in me per se.
Mm,
Now, my wife is a Sag moon, and that's different.
mm,
The emotional beliefs, the law,
mhm,
what's right and wrong, right? For me, as the cat moon, I'm like, cool, because I can block it out and ignore it. But
mm,
when I offer the hugs and I offer like the safe space, they kind of push away. No, Dad, da, 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 da. I mean, and I don't want to get like so personal or whatever, but you know what I mean? So I totally agree with what you're saying. I've even read books and articles about that. So I try to whatever, but at the same time, I think as human beings, when we're all experiencing our emotions, right, we do it in a myriad of different ways. What you said is so true. They can bring up stuff in you, but it's such a powerful energy that I find that it can hijack the house. And then it's not fair, right? If I'm trying to do some work, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to work and somebody's screaming and yelling, like that's, it's just not cool.
Yeah, they need help. They need something for sure.
Yeah.
The kids, and for as adults, like once that person reaches adulthood and they haven't an opportunity to go to therapy, or they haven't had an opportunity to find a way to, like my daughter ended up really, really channeling in her art. Her art will blow your mind, but you can feel the emotions in the art when you see it. So she did that, and she is still, it's something she'll probably be working on forever. But as an adult, like I do not have other adults around me who act like 2-year-old Scorpio moon people. Like that is not going to happen. I'm not their mom. So I'm like, you go somewhere else and do that. And then like get help. Cause I'm not the one, like, I'm not walking you through this stuff. No.
So I brought up something earlier and I want your thoughts and perspective on it. And knowing in the chat really agreed with me. And I know this to be true because I've experienced it in so many aspects of my life. And I'm, obviously I'm a Scorpio, Ascendant, Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune. But with Scorpio sun and moons, they can feel more comfortable because they're both very private and vague and secretive.
Mm-hmm.
But the two signs I say the most that allow them to feel safe and to share is the Virgo and the Cancer.
Okay.
And I was saying because the Virgo, because Libra kind of came and split them apart and they share the glyph, but that sextile, Virgo knows how to make them feel safe and nurture and comfort them, right? Emotionally. And then the Cancer is, and it's not knocking the Pisces because I'm sure the Pisces Scorpio can work as well too. But the Cancer, I've seen it to be more in the sense that that protective hard outer shell, but there's still calm waters. It's very nurturing and caring and makes the Scorpio feel safe. Because the key word for Scorpio energy is always trust. So do you have any thoughts, or would you add any other signs, or what do you think about the Cancer Virgo allowing Scorpio that, or giving them that sort of safe space to open up, to share, to feel safe and trusted?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is that, I don't know if you heard this before, but you need to, because it's so funny, that Cancer, okay, I have a Cancer moon, and my daughter has a Scorpio moon. And
so there you go.
And so, yes, that providing that safe space, but also, have you heard that thing where they say that Cancer is basically a Scorpio in a house coat? Because there is still that deep emotional intensity, and like that watery, that stuff is super heavy, but it's more like, I'll just go clean the house and cook you some food. And, like, it's like that. I'm like that. You know what? I thought my time was 7. You know what I was doing? Sweating, cooking food, washing the laundry, sweeping the floor. My kids are like,
you know what it is? The daylight savings. So I always base it on 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and it was 7 Mountain for me because Arizona doesn't change.
Okay. And when I got your message say 7, I was like, oh, I got another. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's all right. Sometimes things get miscommunicated. And honestly, that's what I was thinking. But then I also that Capricorn moon in me. Is she okay? I hope everything's all right. I'm very protective.
Have you heard that saying about the Cancer basically being a Scorpio in a house coat?
No, I never heard it. I love it. That's why I was cracking up. I've never heard that. I love that.
Yeah. So that's my kind of take. And Virgo, I don't really know. Like, I have a whole different idea about Virgo that it's hard for me to take it out of the concept of like, Virgo.
Well, understand that what happens with Virgo and Scorpio, Virgo knows how to gently probe where the Scorpio feels safe and trusted, right? So I had a best friend at work years ago that was a Scorpio. I have a Scorpio nephew. I know the Scorpio energy really well. And they have such intense emotions.
Yeah.
As the Virgo, I would lay out like kind of like this a even playing field, because Virgo, being the mutable earth, knows how to ground and relate to anybody.
Mhm.
People don't understand, almost like, and I was explaining this to an astrology friend today, people don't give Virgo a lot of credit in the sense that one thing that people don't understand, Virgo, honestly, you guys, we are really like the fourth air sign because of the Mercury. So we can be up here mentally and intellectually and connect with all these air signs, and then we can bring it back down and ground, which we need to do because that makes Virgo, or that mercurial energy makes Virgo what? Very anxious, and they deal with anxiety and they feel it in their stomach. And that's what gives Virgo the ruling of the lower intestines, what makes Virgo very intuitive, right? You always look at the opposite. So Pisces is the psychic, intuitive energy. But Virgo, on the opposite side of that, is very similar on the health axis, Virgo Pisces, but it's in the stomach where they feel it, right? The gut, that's the second brain. So yeah, so that's where I see the Virgo Scorpio connection. And so I want to ask you this: when you think about the Scorpio sun versus the moon, what we know a lot of the positive traits of the Scorpio sun, but what do you think are the biggest, we talked about the challenges with the moon. What do you think are the biggest challenges with the Scorpio sun sign energy?
All right. So the sun is our overall style or anything?
It seemed like you broke
Do
up
I
for a second, but
have-
you're fine now.
Am I frozen? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So
No,
the sun
you're good.
being the overall good.
Oh, you're
Okay.
pausing for a second maybe, but
Um,
no, you sound good.
okay. Okay. Maybe there's a little like a delay. Yeah. So, all right. So Scorpio, overall style and flair, that's the sun. So wherever our sun is, that is where it's like, that's your shine. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so everything on your chart is going to be touched by that flavor of whatever sign the sun is in. So for the person who has a Scorpio sun, think about the time of year that we just got through the intestines with Virgo and working the land and doing the last little bits of harvest. And then you got the Scorpio sun person is just born right at that fixed time. We're celebrating Day of the Dead. We're getting ready to go into the darkest phase of the year. That's when that person is born. So they come out, they're carrying that imprint of that time. So their overall style and flair is kind of like, they're seductive, secretive, and it's just the overall, like, even if they're not trying to be, their power is very in their
Mysterious, yeah.
core. It's in yeah, so they're holding because it's a fixed water sign. Scorpio is water in the form of deep, cold, frozen water. So you'd go deep down to the dark. There is mysterious and colder than it is up on top because heat rises. So it's a frozen, I call this like frozen memories that's in the body water. So crystallized memories inside of us that it really tints the entire way the person is going to come out, is like how that crystallized within them. So Scorpio sun person is like, overall, there is this intensity when they walk in the room, even if they're not trying to be. You can tell. I can tell. I spot the Scorpio person.
Well, because they're
and also
so
because it's
magnetic.
Descendant.
They're so magnetic
Since
with the
it's
co-rulers.
So since it's my descendant, that's what the way that I use the ascendant and descendant is I call it the relationship axis. The first house is who am I? Who are you? And so I'm constantly, the type of, that's what I'm attracted to. So I will notice them. And what the way I call it is like, they're usually wearing like black leather. They usually have long hair. There's some super intensity about them that I'm kind of a little scared, but it turns me on. So I'll be like, oh, he looks like he could be like a serial killer. And then I'm like, ooh, let me see if I can catch his attention. And I always do. And then I'm like, oh no, not this again.
Okay, wait. You're jumping ahead to the ascendant descendant. Let's hold on before we get there and wrap up the sun moon energy, because that is so freaking funny, because I'm the ascendant Scorpio and you're the descendant. So we really could get into that for a minute. But one other thing I want to say about the Scorpio sun, and just you guys know with and I just love the way the way that you break it down, and just Anjani is a Pisces, you guys, but a Taurus ascendant. And just as a professional astrologer, the way that she dispenses language and interprets these energies, every time it just blows me away and fascinates me. And this is why she's always on my show. But the Scorpio sun, not only so magnetic, but there, like you said, one thing that I respect and then I admire about them so much, their power is so internal and controlled that they don't have to even speak, but you energetically feel their power and their mysterious energy instantly. And it's funny because, so a couple of things. Three thoughts real quick. I want to know what you think about this. Number one, you guys know Scorpio is a very karmic energy. They're usually here to break generational curses. And if you are born with a Scorpio sun, moon, and rising, this is 100% accurate, by the way. I used to say like 95, 98, but it's 100%. Your mother either had a challenging pregnancy or there was something with the birth. That's how you got the Scorpio sun, moon, or rising placement, okay? And so it's fascinating. We're talking about C-section, preeclampsia, tube, umbilical cord around the neck. I mean, something happened, and that's how you got that marker. Now, you could have, and we're not talking about those scheduled C-sections. That's different when people like schedule everything nowadays. That's not going to give you the Scorpio sun, moon, rising. But we're talking about the C-section because it had to get done. We're talking about preeclampsia, pregnancy issue, like all different things, okay? My wife went preeclamptic with the twins, Scorpio moon. I forgot the story with my mother, but I got the Scorpio rising because there was some issue. Okay. So, and the same thing with my niece and my nephew for my sister. And she, and I know that she went through different things. And then did you experience something with your daughter that created that Scorpio moon?
That girl was born at home, and there was but she was born at home in my bathroom and with me. I mean, most people might think that was something, but to me, it was like, thank God she just came out, like a sweet little moment that I had a baby at home.
That is so, we wanted to do a home birth and we just weren't able to. That's great. That's awesome. Okay. But she was home, born in the water, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. But remember, a lot of times they're here to break generational curses. So one thing about the Scorpio sun that I always find so fascinating is that and I'm going to break this up with the genders. The men, right, are, as serious as they are super playful and silly. Like, you may not know them to be that way, but like when guys are with guys, Scorpio dudes, like, they are jokesters. They've got a dry, witty sense of humor, and they are really funny, but they don't show it to everybody. And then I want to see your take on this. And then the women, like the Leo woman, who's the regal queen, the Scorpio woman even ups her one more and sharing that fixed square with each other. A Scorpio woman is very queeny, and it comes through the lens of she chooses her man. You can't go up to a Scorpio woman and mac on her and be like, yo, what's up, shorty? How you doing? You know, I'd like to get your number. Can I take you out? No, no. She's got to choose you, homie. Okay. So trust me when I tell you. And guess what? When a Scorpio woman is smitten with a man and she likes him, that fixed ice water that Anjani was speaking of, oh my God, it melts. And she becomes the biggest girly girl, and she's all giggly and blushing. And if you know this person, you'll look at her and be like, what? Like, are you like, because I had a good Scorpio friend, and when she got around this guy she was liking, it was like another human being. I swear to you, it is comedy. I could like write a whole stand-up routine around that metamorphosis keyword for Scorpio, right? The scorpion, the phoenix rising from the ashes, and then the eagle soaring. The constellation is Anguilla. That transformation with the women, it is wild. All right, what do you think about those two with the men and women?
She's probably gonna key your car if you mess up anything with her, though.
Yeah. Oh, and you can give me your thoughts, or if you want, you can go and read a couple comments and questions in the chat too. But
oh yeah, I'm doing that. I got my little thing right here, keeping up with the chat.
Okay. Well, no, yeah, I'm just saying, just read it, so I know what everybody's saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of chatting about. Jennifer said that her baby was premature and got his legs fixed at 12, and I'm thinking Jennifer had a child that has Scorpio sun,
Yeah.
maybe.
Hey, Jennifer.
And then Jovanka said, yes, I have a dent from a clamp due to
Ooh,
mom being in labor for 10 hours.
wow.
How
Yeah,
old are
she's a
you,
Scorpio.
Jovanka?
Yeah.
Because back in the day, I got a thing on my head too, because they were doing some crazy stuff in the labor and delivery room, which is why I'm studying to become a midwife now, because I am just like, oof. They did some crazy stuff, breaking shoulders and all this, like
It's
super.
absurd. And it's so absurd because it's such a natural thing. I mean, think
Yeah.
about, you had women on plantations giving birth and like freaking like continuing to work. And the fact that you did water birth at home. So I mean, birthing has been and that's so great that you're doing that, because that's a perfect energy for you to be the midwife and the doula. So what do you, I mean, well, you may not know this about the women, or maybe you have some sister friends that are like that. Do you know about
Oh,
that transformation in Scorpio women?
yeah. Well, see, the thing is, for women, our sun isn't leading when we're smitten on somebody. The sun doesn't lead. So,
Well, no, definitely.
but while the sun is that overall, the overarching, my first kind of feeling about it, or like a recollection, because I can't really say like, oh, my Scorpio friend. Like, what I see from my Scorpio women friends is like, if they like somebody, they don't talk to them. It's like, I like you, so that I'm going to be like doing all this other secretive stuff to get you to like me, so you will come to me, because I don't really see them approaching. But that transformation that you're talking about, where it's like they'll become softer and like do stuff differently, you know what I mean? That I could see that for sure.
Trust me, I know as a man. And actually, I should ask you about the men, because as a man, I'm going to know the women better. See, I always say this to my wife: women don't really tell other women always the truth, like how they are.
Right.
They show their truth when they're alone with the man. So
Yeah, that's
women,
true.
sometimes you guys are in the dark about how women really act or behave.
That's true.
You
That
know
is
what I
very
mean?
true.
So that's and I got to watch what I say. But anyway, so but I trust me when I tell you, I know what I'm talking about with the Scorpio women. And yes, there is this dance of playing coy or quiet. And so when and don't get me mistaken, I wasn't saying that, because the Leo woman, she's more like direct. she's queenie and regal, but she's more direct. She's like, hey, what's up? Are you feeling me? I'm feeling you. Right? The Scorpio woman, never that. I'm just saying when it's harder for a man to just straight up approach her and mac and try to, make advances or hit on her and her be receptive to it. It's got to be on her terms, and it's more of a privacy secret thing, like you mentioned. But trust me when I tell you, the Scorpio woman, she knows who she likes or wants, and she's picking, she's selecting. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. That makes sense.
yeah, oh man, but that transformation, I mean, just this like soft little giggly little thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're like the Ice Queen. Who is this representative that we're seeing now? It cracks me up. So,
That
all right.
makes
So
sense.
before we wrap them up, what would be like that? Because obviously the sun is more of a positive integration of the energy, and the moon for Scorpio is a little bit more challenging. But I always let people know, and I know you feel the same way with this. When planets and signs, when they're in their fall or debilitated, it's fine. It's not a death sentence. It's just how you have to work with the energy. It's just different. Right? The Taurus moon, things are just, and the Cancer moon, you're kind of like your emotional mind and heart, everything's like in simpatico. It just flows. With the Scorpio moon, there's a process, right? So how do you feel when you're looking at kind of like those two polarities of the sun and moon for the Scorpio? Where do they meet, and what's their biggest differences?
Are you talking about somebody who has a Scorpio, like they're born on a new moon and they have a...
No. I'm just saying the sun versus the moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like my daughter said this, she was like, I feel like I am my moon. But up until the time she was like 18, 19, she hadn't moved into other parts of her chart yet. So I feel like it can be very like all encompassing when you feel so much. That Scorpio moon can be, but it's very internal. You know what I mean? She's not out here talking about her feelings. No way. She's not out here being vulnerable. No way.
No way.
Whereas it's not like the Scorpio sun isn't also being vulnerable. They're not also, it's more of a power play. I feel like with a Scorpio sun person, they are more playing. I feel like, have you heard of neuro-linguistic programming?
I just had Art Geyser on, remember? Yeah.
Okay.
Show, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I did tune into that one.
Yeah.
I feel like they're the masters of NLP, and they've studied but I don't think that they've actually studied it, but that they just know it.
Intuitively, they just do it empathically. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I think the Scorpio moon person would benefit from that, but because the moon is so unconscious, it's not a thought process, it's a feeling, it's the body
feeling, and energy. You're right. Yeah, no, that's so true, Anjani. You're totally right on that. It's really fascinating, you guys, and this has been, I don't know, let me ask you, the October 28th, the Taurus lunar eclipse, wrapping up the previous 18 months of the Taurus Scorpio nodal axis. And now we've, gone into the Aries Libra. And then just the new moon on the 13th, sort of putting a bow on that energy and then kind of giving us a look for a new forward momentum and a new beginning. And I know for me as a Scorpio rising, having this in my first house, I definitely felt every ounce of the nodal axis, and you did too. We've talked about this, and the Taurus lunar eclipse, and then the Scorpio new moon, you guys, whoa, right? Like Black Rob, like, whoa, like it was intense. But now that the moon has shifted and, it's squaring Neptune tonight and it's in Sag, and we're going to get to my moon tomorrow, Capricorn. I feel like I'm seeing the new pathway. I did the work to purge, release, surrender, detox. And now it's like I'm I guess it's going through that process from the Scorpion to the Phoenix, and now I feel like the Anguilla, the eagle, soaring. And so, did you, on your Descendant, how did you feel that this past 2-year cycle and then this new moon Scorpio energy, how have you felt in the integration and that process for you?
Okay. Okay, let me tell you, this was really the most, I will never forget this transit. Like, this has been the most
I know.
mind-blowing. When we had that there was like still at the end of that Taurus eclipse, that was right on Chiron, and I was like, oh wow, like it felt like something big was happening, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it yet. And then with this new moon, it was like it was like that, like a snap, where I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I really felt like my old self, where I used to have a light switch where I could be like, I don't give a fuck, and turn the light off and I'd be over it. And during the time the nodal axis was in that Taurus Scorpio, I couldn't move that thing. Right. It was stuck on, I care about everything. And I'm like, oh my God, my this, my that, my relationships, everything was just, and I couldn't flip the switch. I was just stuck on like, I don't know.
And it's because the nodes are so karmic and so fated and so destined. Like, you can't escape that energy.
Mm-hmm. But then as soon as we got to the new moon, remember I told you I had that young boy that I got off the crazy train and I didn't even try. It was just like suddenly when he's texting me after he throws his little tantrum, and then he comes back, oh, Anjani, can we get together? Can we have, whatever. And then I saw the message and I was like, ew. And I just didn't even answer it. But I didn't block him because I was enjoying the feeling of like seeing how much I saw it. And I was like, my light switch done turned off. And
there you go. I'm proud of you, my friend.
That's I felt awesome. So good. And it's like, then I could see the culmination of all of the whole nodal axis. I could see it all, where I was like, wow, I get it now. What I was going through was like feeling myself wanting the good things from what, like the Taurus side, I'm wanting the good things from what I know that these relationships were on me. But then once it got to that Scorpio new moon, I was like, oh, but those are actually energetically expensive. And what I'm learning currently from the Aztec teachings is that there is actually something in our spirit that is an actual expenditure. So every time we do something, feel something, say something, that it's like a bank account, but it's not. It's called something, and I don't know the words in Nahual right now. I'm learning it. But basically, it's like everything that we do is either adding energy into like a positive account of like giving us energy,
or depleting it,
or it's taking energy away and depleting us. So
it's like a car, right? With a vehicle, right? If you buy a property, it appreciates. You buy a car, it depreciates.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like every little thing that we're doing. So the longer that I'm engaging in something that I'm hoping to get the Taurian side of it, of the value, of the pleasure of, oh, but he has this, or he can help me with it. Well, I'll just kind of keep this thing going so I can get that good thing, but at the expense of having to deal with XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And then it's actually too expensive for me, and I'm getting depleted and I'm feeling all these things. And I'm like, it's like very toxic. And so then it's like, oh, actually, it's not worth it. Like none of this. I'm at this point now where I'm like, I need all new friends. I need like all new everything, because of it feels so much like a whole new life. Whoever has the nodal axis going through their first and seventh house. So Aries, Libra people, I don't know if it's going to be the similar, but I think so, because Taurus planetary ruler is and Scorpio planetary ruler is Mars, and so now the nodal axis shifted into Libra, yeah. Aries, and Libra planetary ruler is Venus, and Aries is Mars. So you still
wait. On top of that, Anjani, you're going through your Uranus opposition, and for us as Scorpio ascendant and descendant, so Scorpio rising, Taurus rising, we weren't just dealing with the nodes, we were also dealing with Uranus in Taurus. So in my seventh and your first. So it was like a extra layered cake that, and especially Uranus and Taurus, you guys, that's hashtag new earth. That's what's just, brought so much upheaval to the earth, to the financial system, to the food supply, like all of it. And so that energy was like, it was like a double entendre. It was extra, extra, extra. And so, yeah, it's really, hey, we should get T-shirts that we survived the Taurus.
But what about that? What about that April 2024, April 20th, 4/20, 2024? Put that date in your calendar, because that's when the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happens. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. And that I feel like that is really going to be like, all right, did you guys really learn during those eclipses?
Well, and not just that, though. I think that that's going to be a spiritual upgrade. And so that is a great time for manifesting, ascension. When Jupiter is conjunct Uranus and Taurus, powerful, powerful, powerful. So now let's change over. Before we change over, do you want to, like, any comments or questions in the chat, you guys?
Yeah, there was so much stuff I wanted to answer in here. Okay, Eric is right. We can be kind of direct, but in a different way, because we act like we don't know you. That's a Scorpio for sure. Yes. Yes, that's when we were talking. That was about when the Scorpio women, they will act like they don't know you, but they're pulling you in with their magnetism.
Oh yeah.
Jennifer Sweet, yes, that is Hitler's birthday, 4/20. Yes, and that is when we have the Uranus. We gotta do a whole. That needs to be like a whole thing, because there's so many layers to what that's going to be like. But I think for everybody gone through the eclipses in that area, if you had a personal planet there, I feel like this is going to be a big blessing and a lot of changes.
Well, I think this is going to be more positive, because Jupiter is going to boost up, I think, the positive traits of the Uranus energy.
We always hope that that's what Jupiter does, but sometimes Jupiter just blows stuff out of proportion.
No, I know. Listen, this can also bring more hurricanes, more earthquakes. And I think about those people in Iceland and whatever happened the other day on the Mars-Uranus opposition on the 110 highway in Cali with fires.
Oh, yeah.
So that was literally what we call in astrology good. It's not good for the real world, but it was like showing you the actual astrology energy with the Mars-Uranus opposition. So let's transition now we're talking from our personal stuff. The Scorpio Ascendant versus the Scorpio Descendant.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I want you to go first, but I want to just, as a Scorpio Ascendant, throw this in your lap and then let you attack it and then present the Scorpio Descendant. One thing that I think that's really fascinating, and I've seen with the Scorpio Descendant, it is that, right? Because it's the double-sided mirror. I look at the seventh house, right? It's you in relation to others, right? The business partner, the relationship, the shopping, the contract negotiation, the marriage partner, right? All this relational stuff. But when you have Scorpio there, the one thing for me that stands out, that's, a little beneath the surface, not so overtly obvious, there is also a need for purity. And I think that's one thing that within the mystery, within the soul merging and needing to trust, there is that Taurus Ascendant looking at the Scorpio Descendant and being attracted to a sense of purity. So I'll let you take that over and give me some thoughts on the Scorpio Descendant and your thoughts about that pure energy.
You got me stumped on that a little bit, on the purity thing. I don't really, I'm not really sure about that.
Well, okay, I'm going to say this, because Scorpio, it likes to purify, because it's about soul merging. And through going through the transformation process, it's a purification process. And you can only purify when you investigate and go through the dirt and the mud and you get to the truth and you do the soul searching and you get to the heart of the matter. That's what I mean.
Okay, so if you say compost, then I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But there is shit involved in it because it's Scorpio and it is the anus and the
yes, but what is that doing? The process is purification.
Right. So that makes sense. Yeah. Because when you say purity, I'm like,
well, no, I don't mean like, oh, darling, here's my cup of tea. I don't mean pure like that.
Purification, though, yeah, the process for sure.
Oh,
because in order to get something like the whole thing of alchemy, the whole thing of doing shamanic work, the compost is my favorite Pluto and Scorpio real life metaphor, because you're like putting stuff into the soil and it gets all decomposed and it smells a certain way, and then all these things happen. There's like bacteria and bugs and all this stuff, and then at the end of that whole process you have the most glorious, wonderful, super fertile soil for which you can plant and have Taurus happen again, like the new life be regenerated. Yeah. So Scorpio on the descendant. So the way that I work with this is the descendant is what's like when you look out at the horizon, what's rising in the sky at the moment that rising. And so I always think of it, that energy of like you're just coming out, and it's like it's just, it's so pure and crisp, and like it's the not purity, but like the pure essence of whatever was on the rising side. That's what's showing up. That's what's coming out. And I call it your pathway to ascension, because your pathway to ascension is through that rising sign. That's the way in which you are rising. And then the deep is just like when you're watching the sun set, it is merging into the earth. It's actually the direction of west. In ancient Egyptian teachings, they call it westing, which that's the word for death. It's
remember they used to measure the heart on the scales, the judging the souls.
Libra. And Libra is the west. Libra is the cardinal sign of the direction of west. So that merging, that's the descendant. And so having Scorpio on that, to me, is like that's what's happening. It's like a merging is happening. And because it's on that side, like the way I hold the descendant is like your alter ego. It's like the thing that you really want. You love it, you really want it, but you can't quite, it's opposite to you. It's the strange other. It's the other, the alien, the thing that you're like, but there's something mysterious and intriguing. And so you really like it. So you'll be attracted to that type of person. But from looking at the chart, what I'm seeing is like, oh, that is a side of you that you're calling it in because you want to experience that. And so when that's Scorpio, you'll be attracted to those scorpionic traits. Like I mentioned, walking to the grocery store, seeing the guy in leather and being like, oh, I wonder if he might be homicidal.
You go to wait, that's not fair. You go to such extremes. Scorpio is, stop it. That's not nice.
No, it's not that. I'm not talking about a Scorpio person. I'm talking about the energy of death, regeneration, somebody who wants to get in the compost with you. There is a gate. There's a certain intensity. They're usually wearing black, and so anyway, when that on the descendant is going to be what you're constantly attracting, but you can't quite get it. You know what I mean? It's like, because on the descendant, the work for us to do, for everybody, whatever your descendant is to become the healthy version of that thing.
Yes, the higher vibrations and frequency of that energy. Yes.
Any couple that you meet, the thing we call what do you call this? The marriage when you first start, the honeymoon.
The honeymoon phase.
The honeymoon is whenever you're just like, oh, because they're like this and they're like that. And then it's like everything you've ever wanted because it's your other. It's your other. And so you're seeing all of those traits that you love, you're seeing it in that person. And then at some point that wears off and you're like, oh, but oh my God, he does this and he does that and da da da. So from the way that I hold the Descendant is that eventually we finally are like, okay, what is it that I need to get from this? So what I call, I say this, I have a sign hanging up in my kitchen because relationships are such a struggle for me. The little sign says, don't chase what you love, become it. And so now when I see that and I'm like, ooh, that intense Scorpio energy, I'm like, hold on, like, let me see how this lands in my body. What is it that I could be doing to integrate that within myself so that I don't have to go get that like intense guy who's probably in a rock band and plays the drums, or like, he's like, whatever he's doing I pick the most fun, exciting things. They don't last, but they're very fun and exciting.
Well, can I interrupt you for a second
Wait,
about
no,
that?
let me finish.
Okay,
I used to pick them.
Oh,
Now what I do is I notice what it is and I'm like, oh, so that means there's something in me that wants that. So I need to give that to myself so that I'm no longer like looking for that, you know?
That's great. And that's so true and so powerful what you said. And this is why when I look at synastry compatibility and relationship charts, the one thing that I always advise people is that, number one, the sign and the Descendant, couple things. It doesn't have to just be the sun sign. It could be a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. It could be a Scorpio stellium, or it could be the archetype of the Scorpio energy that maybe you relate to or actually get into a committed relationship with, or a marriage, okay? But also, when you're talking about the polarity and the opposites, not so much a Taurus Scorpio, but I will say this, since we are in the Aries Libra nodal axis now, in terms of opposites, that I find out of all of them is the most different and challenging. And most of my Libra rising clients, they may be attracted to that Aries archetype, especially the women, to that Aries type A man. But for most of them, and more often than not, it is not good for them and not what they should connect with or integrate into their lives. Now, obviously the chart and the placements, the Venus, the Jupiter, the Juno, all that will support that or not. But I have seen it time and time again. Now with the Scorpio Taurus, well, literally for my wife and I, it totally is literal and works out, right? She's a Taurus rising like you, and I'm a Scorpio rising. So it works out in that case. And then we're opposites in the Virgo Pisces. So, those two opposites tend to play off each other really nicely. Are there challenges? Of course, there's challenges in anything, but there's an interesting understanding. But when you're dealing with the Scorpio Ascendant, Descendant, because it's fixed energies, you have got to have some cardinal immutable energy in the chart to kind of support that access, because it can get controlling, possessive. It can get so fixated on its roles or and how they play out the relationships and the intimacies, that you have to find balance in other areas. But the Scorpio Descendant, to me, one thing that I would advise Taurus risings, right, for the Scorpio Descendant, you have to make sure that you are not pulling in that low vibration of that Scorpio Descendant, because that's where I've seen it for the Taurus Ascendant women like yourself and my wife, where they can get involved in the vengeful, possessive, manipulating, controlling, low frequency vibrations of that energy that can even get into the abuse and stuff like that. So you have to really make sure that that Scorpio sun, moon, rising energy, or that archetype that you're attracted to, that you're saying that you need to find in yourself, that it's on the high frequency and high vibration of it. Because if it is, it can be magical and transformative.
So
And
what do you consider to be that when you're saying high
so,
vibe, low
okay,
vibe?
so
Like, how does that
I thought about that when you were saying it, because so this is what it would be. So the descendant that the Taurus rising is attracted to in the Scorpio descendant, what that energy really is, and I can say this as the Scorpio rising, is being comfortable walking into any room and there's this still, quiet, investigative confidence. And so before I knew that I was a Scorpio rising, I always wondered when I walked into a room, it was sort of like that Tupac, all eyes on me. And I'm just a Virgo, right? And I didn't understand it. And so sometimes it took years to start to understand this unspoken energy and power. Because just so you guys know, your ascendant, when you're walking into a room, your ascendant energy, it vibrates out. People don't see, right, Anjani's Pisces when she walks into a room, they're feeling her Taurus rising. It's the same thing with me with my Virgo, right? I walk into a room, they're not seeing Eric the Virgo, they're seeing Eric the Scorpio rising. And so this magnetic Scorpio energy, it's kind of more reserved, it's exploratory, it's investigative, it's pure and truthful, and pure not in like pure like an angel, but pure in there's this never coming outside of itself. You know what I mean? I'm always in control of my energy, whether I choose to be bigger than life or whether I choose to be in the cut and kind of just analyzing, assessing, peeping, and studying stuff. And so when you learn to master that energy, because the Scorpio ascendant, you guys, is very empathic. So as soon as I meet you in person, it's like I see right through you. I know who you are in like 5 words, 10 seconds. So that can be very intimidating for people, because if someone is not true or honest or confident in themselves, they can feel extremely vulnerable, afraid, or like naked in front of me. Because there's this thing that Scorpio risings do, and I've seen it from other Scorpio risings. They are just, there's this they're reserved in a way that they don't, you know what I mean? Like if think of a conversation with like the double dutch and the girls doing a double dutch jump rope, they can watch it spin for a long time and not even, want to or need to jump in. But everyone else around is kind of waiting for them to jump in and take their turn. And when they do, they're going to jump in and everyone's going to notice and feel it. And that's a good way to explain the Scorpio rising energy. You know what I mean? And I see where, and I'll be honest with you, I see that Mars Pluto play out. I see where people are very pulled into my energy and extremely attracted to it. And then I see where people are fearful or repelled by it. It's with the Scorpio, and this is on the ascendant and the descendant, there's no middle ground. It is either like all in or all away. Come to me, please, or get away from me, please.
So what is the like high and the low? That's what, because so for me, I think of things as like not separate. So like Scorpio, just purely as being a season, let's say, because we're looking at the tropical zodiac, it's the season of Scorpio, and I can see death and decay, and I also see that things are transforming into something else. And I'm noticing that more people who don't do ancestor worship are doing ancestor worship. like people, I do it every day, but it's like people who don't do it every day, they're like, oh, my ancestors, because it's Scorpio season. So there's an element of death and renewal and regeneration. And there's also an element of like intense power, because the power is under the surface. Like you said, it's held within. And so my curiosity is like, what, when you're like, oh, well, you need to focus more on the higher vibration of Scorpio. That's, I'm like, what is that?
The higher vibration is truth. It's inner peace. It's confidence. It's soul merging, intense love. It's raw. It's magical passion. It's it is the transformation. When you think of autumn and the fixed, fall energy, right? It begins in the Libra, and then when it gets into the Scorpio, right? It's the 8th house. It's fixed, and there is a calmness and a stillness in that you're sitting and watching, and there's this, like, I think of the Heinz song, anticipation just making me wait. It is that it's like you can hang on each word and movement, and you're like, what's coming next? There's power and joy and love and pleasure in that. There's magic in that. And that's what I think you sense from all the fixed signs, but mostly from the Scorpio. It is so zeroed in on you. You know what I mean? Scorpio energy has the ability to make you feel bigger than you ever can on your own, because Scorpio can focus in on you where there's like nobody else in the world that matters but you. And that's part of the magic, So it's all those things: the stillness, the calmness, the power, the sensuality, the soul merging, the truth. It's yeah, that's something.
That's really beautiful. So yeah, it's like all of that stuff is available to us, so we can, access that and not like wait for somebody else to do those things. Because it kind of sounds a little bit like what I've been reading about narcissism too, is like love bombing. It kind of sounds like we're like, you're focused, but then it's also just this, it makes you feel a certain way. And I like that is, so Scorpio, when we talk about manipulating energy, it's like the shaman that's able to transmute. And so it is very like, it is super powerful. And I when I'm reading somebody's chart and I'm like, oh, you have Scorpio, whatever the placement is, Scorpio Venus is always something I'm like, wow, okay. So looking at how that's a power that you have, and we are not trained in using our power. We are not like, as the person that comes out and they're really empathic and really tuned into energy, and they're talking to their ancestors and seeing spirits and all of that. In tribal times, that child would have been put with the shaman to get those skills honed and to be able to work with them. But we don't know that. So the person that's like super, like, they don't know what to do with it. So that's why we're like, oh, go somewhere else with that, get trained in it. And so for me with Scorpio on my descendant, I'm constantly involved in those situations where I'm like, okay, I see what's happening. And this is for me to, this is not a true teaching, the Ho'oponopono, just so you guys know. Like if you see Ho'oponopono, that's actually a something that was grabbed and made up, and it's not actually like an indigenous, it's anyway, that the saying that comes from that, Joe Dispenza talked about it in his book, is called cleaning, that we're cleaning our own self, so that as we go through, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, it's a process that we do within ourselves, so that whenever we get into this big energy that we all have access to, we're all feeling it right now with Sun and Mars traveling for the next few days. We're definitely feeling the Scorpio energy. but to not get played by it, but to play with it, but not get played by it. And don't play yourself either. Like Scorpio is, because it can manipulate, but it isn't necessarily trained in how to do that. So I feel like as we get older, definitely we've had practice and we have seeked out training. And so know how to use our emotional powers and all of this intense magnetism. But
No, you're so right, and I can tell you from experience as a Scorpio rising and having the Scorpio Venus,
oh,
I I can laugh at myself and be honest and be introspective and self-critical. And I can tell you, when I was younger, um, I know for some of my girlfriends, I was too much. I was too intense. And I wasn't, mean or controlling or negative, but it was very soul merging, ride or die, loyalty, and like just maybe too real and too serious. And I laugh at young Eric because I'm like, oh my God, like, oh, you were probably scaring some of these girls away. They're like, hey, let's just keep it light. Like that's a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I know firsthand the Scorpio Venus, and for me, it's conjunct my Jupiter. So, so it's really, really, really powerful. And so that's also an energy, you guys, just so you understand. That's, I guess, if I'm being honest, the way I can say it's not for joke. So it's very real and intense, but you have to be prepared for it if you're the other half, and you have to be almost taught to appreciate it, because not everybody could appreciate Scorpio Venus. And let's be honest, Venus is at home in Taurus and Libra. So in Scorpio is debilitated. They'll tell you all the bad things about it. But the positives about that Scorpio Venus, and especially showing up in your ascendant, is really understanding the concept of truth and loyalty, and being able to, and I don't say manipulate in a bad way, but manifest or move things energetically. And when I say things, obviously you're talking about Venus, it's like people, it's like pleasure, beauty, love, right? It's all these love languages, all these things. And even in arts and culture, right? So for me, Venus Scorpio, I'm not going to like materialistic, poppy, goofy, stupid music, right? I'm going to want the truth, something intense, something emotional. My second album as an MC is titled Truth Speaker. Can't get more literal than that. And I didn't know my Scorpio Ascendant or Venus at that time. That's just who I was. Hip Hop Forever, my first album. My second album, Truth Speaker. Forever, Scorpio word. Truth, Scorpio word. You know what I mean? So there you go. And so those are just real life examples. But, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, poor young Eric. I was just too much. But it's not too much when you connect with the right person. Okay. And so I think we also have to learn, with all of our placements in astrology, you guys, whatever it is, learn to appreciate and love all of your chart and all the complexities that make you the human being that you are, because you signed up for it and you chose this. So then you have to, like Anjani was saying, you have to learn how to work with it and integrate it to the best of your abilities. And it's a shame that we did not grow up with these shamanic tribal teachers the way that, we wish that we could have, because that, you're right, that would be, oh man, like how I know the energy now, if I knew that at like 18 or 21, oh man, it would have saved a lot of heartache and drama and just whatever, you know what I mean? So
It would have saved some other people too. I know I all the time. I'm 44. I'm like, oh, I'm getting caught up. I'm getting caught up with because when I was careless, I just didn't know. I didn't know how much power I had. And so I was just, I'm still learning it. Like in my dreams, I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, I'm heavy-handed because I think I don't know my saying that the guys would say when I was little, oh, I didn't know my own strength. Like Scorpio, if you any of your Scorpio placements, this is the power in general. Like we'll be doing too much and we don't know. We could have just done a little bit, you know?
Yes, definitely. Well, as we get ready to wrap this up, and we're going to get ready to say goodbye to Scorpio season. And, I think it's really important for people to understand this transitional period as we then go to the mutable fire of Sagittarius. Scorpio season, and I love how you put it together so eloquently, it is got that death and decay, but it's got that transformation, the purification. But it's also, you guys, this, and I think it's perfectly placed in the chart, right? With these 12 signs and these constellations. But remember that earth and water is receptive and it's introspective, naturally. And so with Mars being conjunct the sun now and Mars being the traditional ruler of Scorpio, I really feel like we're in this time in the next, because we got 7 days left. We got a week left in Scorpio season. How are you going to finish your purification process and use this sun Mars fuel and energy to to boost really and to merge within your own mind, body, spirit, heart, soul, this emotional, empathic power that is really to transform you for this Scorpio new moon, this new beginning, that you are strong enough, you are powerful enough to heal yourself, to transform, to choose whatever it is you want, to be patient, to be calm, to be still. You know what I mean? And embrace and walk into that as this season wraps up. And I just wish all of you, to take advantage of this energy, the Scorpio season, because no matter what your chart is, any of your placements, the sun is vibrating in your Scorpio house. Whatever house you have Scorpio in, look to that house to see how you can work with that storyline, see what planets it's hitting, and then integrate this Scorpio Mars energy conjunction and allow it to emotionally fuel you for all the positive things that Scorpio can bring you. And a lot of that is introspection, truth, empathic, the magic, the occult knowledge, and investigation. So investigate your heart and vibrate from your heart. And I'll leave the rest to you, my friend, as we get ready to wrap up. I mean, how do you think about this season and these last 7 days and this energy, and what's the call to action for our audience?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for asking me that. I love Scorpio season because of how much it hurts to get into your own shadow stuff that you have suppressed, because a lot of those big emotions, we were told to go somewhere else with that. So in Scorpio season, a lot of that does come up, and it's like I find it to be somewhat like I got to hold myself through some things that are coming up, and like schedule a session, get therapy, go get a massage, like really important things are moved to the surface. So when I say manipulation, I don't mean, see, this is the thing. people think about go outside and do something like manipulate. No, I'm talking about we go inside and we optimize our own stuff. We are in our own spine, that central channel, and we are all that stuff we have stuff down. Now it's coming up, and we are using our own hand to manipulate that, to turn it in gold, like the alchemist would do, moving our own stuff out because it's coming out. That's the thing with Scorpio season. It's like that compost, the things that you threw in that are not compostable, guess what happens to them? They stay there. They don't disintegrate, they don't turn into gold, they don't turn into soil, they just sit there taking up space, and eventually it's going to come up to the surface, like when you get a splinter in your hand, that it'll eventually wound will come and then it'll pus itself out. It'll come out. Like ain't nothing gonna stay in. That's why Scorpio season, I say your secrets are coming out.
Yes.
Your things that you don't like about yourself, those will come out, and it's really good. It's hard. It can be really painful, and you have to really look at yourself. Every time you're like, he did this to me, she did that, that person did this. Every single time you're doing that, you are all, everybody heard this, you got all these other fingers pointing to during Scorpio, and that's whenever we are really called to, we have to purge those things. And I personally, the last 7 days, I am going all in. And because I'm asking for that, I'm asking for it, it is showing up. I'm really getting it. And yes, I'm good with it. But it's hard. And so that's what I will schedule things. I have things scheduled. I'm working it. That's manipulation. That's what I mean by manipulate.
Yeah.
It's like grabbing it and I'm doing stuff with it. At the end of this next 7 days, I hope for all of us that we have been able to face ourselves and to face the things that we have been told that were too much, and to let ourselves see it, like bring it out and look at it and decide for yourself if it's too much. If it is, I like this idea of the gifts in the garbage. So from that compost, there are going to be some things that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I find crystals in my compost sometimes. Well, how'd this get out here? But I think it's because I sweep the floor and for making jewelry, there'll be like little pieces of crystal will get out there. So I'll be like, oh my God. And I bring it, I'm like, it's like resurrection in a way. I'm like, bring this back. But then I'll have like some compostable baggies that I thought were going to compost and they actually didn't. So I'm like, ooh, we need to throw this away because it's not doing any good here. So that's what I mean by manipulation. We're able to like work it, work the soil, work our own compost, and really make it as beautiful as we can for this year. And then we got Scorpio season 2024 next year. So you don't have to do it all at once. It's a process.
I love that, my friend, and that is so true. And I think that releasing and the surrender and the purging, and one thing that I love about the Scorpio energy is that it does bring up the truth, and so you can't really hide. And I think you have to push through what you said, those real tough, intense emotions. But it's all for your greater good. And so just know we all chose to be here at this time. So we're all built for this. Please make sure you guys like and share this episode. And when it's done, please go back and comment. And sorry for the miscommunication with the time and all that, but everything is divine timing, because this was really a powerful and beautiful episode, my friend. So please share. I wrote it in the description, but if anybody would like to learn about, some of your amazing healing that you do, your astrology work, yoga, the medicine and the purification stuff that you make, please tell people how they can book and read and connect with Miss Anjani Siegrist.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm the one that's been chatting you guys up. That's why you keep seeing me look down. That's Awaken the Dream School. And on my YouTube
And
channel,
please go subscribe to her channel, you guys.
Yeah, there's a link that will take you to Ojas. That's my herb business. I make medicine. I make it. I like grow the medicine. I have a nervous system tonic that I want everybody to be using. I give it to my kids at night. It'll help you go to sleep. And these plants, valerian root, chamomile, I grew the plants and then I made them into a tincture. You take it at night before you go to sleep, and it's like a nervous system. I
Ooh,
call it.
I may need that, my friend.
It's so good. It's just so good. So there's that, and then I have a school. You have a school also, right?
Yeah.
We should get something together that we have like a bridge between our two schools. I have a class right now that's like a $17 beginner course that has, you'll be able to understand your chart. That's all I'll say for that. My Instagram name is Venus Gemstone, but I'm not really doing much on there because there's so much going on, and moment of silence for all the lives that we've lost in the last. Oof, it's painful, and my heart is just. Ooh,
yeah.
let's just have
I've
a
just
little.
been praying for peace. It's absurd, absurd. So. Yeah.
So yeah, my Instagram page is pretty much non-active except for little posts here and there about like, hey, let's take care of these kids and that, but my YouTube channel, that's where you'll get most of information about how to work with me.
Well, that is wonderful, and I appreciate that. And like always, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on. And yes, we will have to connect again soon in 2024, and definitely, even look towards this Jupiter Uranus stuff, and obviously some other collaborations as well. So, you want to take any last couple of questions or comments, just so we don't walk away leaving anybody unheard from?
I have been loving the conversations. It's so very Scorpio in here.
I know. I tell you, can I just tell you, like, I love my people, from Jennifer Sweet to Evelyn Torres, Kimberly, Christina, who is knowing. I mean, just everybody that comes on. I appreciate them so much, and I just, it's just, this is what it's all about, you guys, and this is why I created this. And I will say, I don't know if I shared it with you, but so I've been, rebranding from Tailored to You Coaching to BigEAstrology. So my new website is almost ready. I'm at the final stretches, and it's painful. It's going through the Scorpio process, but soon BigEAstrology.com will be up and live. But I will be having a newsletter where I share some of my E-isms, and they're like these little nuggets of insight of information, just like the name of the podcast that I created years ago. That name, Knowledge is Love, because I feel like if you love someone, you should keep them in the know. They should never have to guess, assume, or believe, because they can do those things wrong. Therefore, knowledge, true knowledge is love. You know what I mean? So I love to share knowledge, and you are so knowledgeable, and I just value your insight and perspective so much. So I still can remember back to watching and finding your channel, and then finally connecting. And so it's just been, really awesome. And we obviously, we share the Virgo Pisces polarity and the Taurus Scorpio polarity. So it is really great. And I love when we connect and collab like this. So again, everybody, thank you for coming. This is Knowledge is Love, episode 172. And I will, edit and do a shorter version of the episode where we, really kind of started off with the presence of Miss Anjani, on, showing up and being there from the jump. So you guys will get to see that. And this was fun, like always, my friend. And hold on, let me see this thing here.
It's absolutely
so I thank you. And you guys enjoy the rest of autumn season, Scorpio season. Always reach out, BigEAstrology@gmail.com. Scorpio birth chart sale ends November 22nd. Oh, and Anjani, I don't know if I told you this, but you guys can look tomorrow. I am sharing on the Jeff Mara podcast my near-death experience. He interviewed me yesterday.
Very Scorpio.
It was very transformative, healing, and amazing. And I think I got at the place, 2 years out now, where I was comfortable in sharing my story and speaking my truth. So it was time, and he invited me on the show. So I'm just thankful somebody, I guess, sent my story or information to him, and then he reached out to me. So whoever did that, thank you. And you guys will see it on my channel under my interviews and media playlist, and it's going to be on the Jeff Mara podcast, I believe, tomorrow. And then he said in a month or two on his Spotify. So look out for that, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Oh my God, I love your group. Everybody is so sweet. Thank you so much for saying you love my laugh. I think it's so obnoxious, but I love it. I'm getting to love it too.
No, listen, you gotta love your
appreciate
laugh,
all of
my
you.
friend. Listen, part of the magic of every single human being is when we get comfortable and start to love all of our vulnerable and insecure spots. That's when we merge in ourselves. And that's what Scorpio is about. Soul merging, not just with another, but with yourself.
Yep.
Right. And that's the thing. I had to learn to appreciate all my weird Virgo traits of overanalyzing and this and that and nitpicking. And then I realized, okay, you don't need to do that as much. And then, but you start to, I laugh at myself, and I love all the imperfections. So love your laugh.
Absolutely.
Love your
Amen.
laugh and just love it all, you guys.
I can still find it obnoxious though sometimes. Especially when I hear my sister, I'm like, damn, Monique, she laughs just like me. We get in there, it's like,
oh gosh, that's great. Yeah, family
great.
can reflect some stuff back to you, definitely.
Oh yeah, I love my sister though. Yeah.
But I will be reaching out to you for I want to try
that tincture, that Valerian system regulation.
That will help. That will help my my Gemini sun and my Virgo self as well. So I'm sure the whole family could use it. So
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that knowledge with us. And all right, you guys, have a good one.
Good night.